Thank you for returning my call after hours. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. I was sorry that we weren't able to connect. But why don't you tell me what happened? You sounded very upset.
It's John. I don't know what to think anymore. I'm so confused. I know it's really not him. There's so many things I'm looking at right now, and it's hard to come out of the fog and see things so clearly. I mean, like, what have I done with my life? Where am I going? I've been a constant mess my whole life. I mean, did I think that by not looking at my problems, they'd just go away? It's really hard to face the reality of that, like my kids, unpaid back taxes, the deprivation of my life since childhood. I mean, why can't I just get on with it? I feel ashamed.
I know this is really painful for you. But maybe we can just slow this all down a bit, okay? Take your time. We have plenty of time to get through this. So take a breath, and why don't you start by telling me what happened when you made the phone call?
It was John. I went over to his house to ask him for a favor. I mean, he knows my car is on its last legs. So I asked him if he would come with me to the car dealership so I wouldn't feel so alone while I was talking to the guy. I mean, I don't even know if I can get a car loan. And just having John there would have helped me not feel so ashamed. And I told him that when I asked him if he'd come with me.
Yeah. So what did he say?
It was awful. He was really mean, and he just said he was sick and tired of me using people, and that it's time I woke up and started facing reality. He said he's known me for years and I haven't changed my life at all, that I'm constantly broke and scraping by, and that my business is limping along, and it's time I stopped blowing smoke up my ass. He also said, your therapist is blowing smoke up your ass too, coddling you and letting you go on like this. You're in the same place you were when you started. He's right. He's speaking the honest truth from a place of reality, and that's what I've been avoiding my whole life, waiting for people to freaking rescue me.
Well, now, let's wait a minute here. It's one thing for someone to speak reality, speak the truth or speak reality to you. But it's another thing to deliver that message in a horribly shaming way.
You're right. Part of me knew that at the time, but I was so angry with him. I told him what I was feeling about going to the dealership, that I was feeling full of shame. And what did he do? He goes off on me and makes me feel worse about myself. So that's why I made the call to you.
Yeah, you made yourself vulnerable to him. And I'm glad you called when you did. It was really awful. He went too far. He went too far, didn't he? And you didn't deserve to be talked to in that way. I'm really, really sorry. It sounds like he's angry with you, but, you know, I wonder if he's a bit threatened. Perhaps it's because so much is breaking through for you right now around your childhood trauma. Do you think it's unsettling him a little bit?
That's what my sister, the one who's in therapy, that's what she said when I called her. She was like, boy, what's wrong with this guy? Does he have issues or what? That made me feel better.
Yeah,
But I knew that before she said it to me, but I was so mad at him. I'm done. He crossed the line. I'm not calling him or reaching out to him. That's it.
Well, he does owe you a big apology. I know that this relationship has been very important to you, too.
He would never do that. I mean, if I tried to talk to him about it, he would just say that I'm making a big deal about it, trying to turn it back on him because I can't take the truth.
And you could say, back to him, there's a difference between hearing the truth and how the truth is delivered.
He doesn't buy any of it. Oh, and you know what made me walk out the door is when I said to him that I would never talk to him in this way. And he said it's just because he's delivering the truth. He also said that he would never ask people for money because he prided himself for always pulling his own weight in his life.
Yeah. Do you hear his attempts to overcompensate, to distance himself from his own vulnerability and his need for others? Do you also hear his anger around you leaning on him, showing your vulnerability to him when he never lets himself lean on anybody?
Yeah, it's always one-sided. I mean, he can be the guru, the one with all the answers, but he never self-discloses. He never leans on me.
Mm-hmm. Then perhaps we can maybe reflect that his feedback isn't exactly neutral. Perhaps his delivering this message of truth may mean that he's also overlooking a few things himself, coming from a place of his own blind spots.
I know. I've been there for his family for years. I mean, I was instrumental in getting him and his children back together. I'm the liaison between them. So, and their relationship is much better because of me.
That's right. That's right. It rather levels the playing field, wouldn't you say? It's not all about money.
There's more.
Okay.
He's telling me I'm not pulling my own weight when he's the one living with his adult daughter because he didn't save enough money for retirement. But you know that he's right about one thing, about me being in a fog, and I do feel badly about myself. I mean, why can't I just get out of my own way? I don't even know where to go in this session.
Do you mind if I share some of my thoughts and observations for a couple of minutes right now? The first place we can look and focus is that there's a lot that's happening right now for you around the feelings of shame. Don't you find that it's interesting that just as you're beginning to remember pieces of your childhood trauma and the deprivation that you've suffered, coupled with calling your mother and your sister just last week and asking them about what happened to you in your childhood, that the fog is also lifting in your present life as you're beginning to see John more clearly.
I hadn't actually put that together. What does it have to do with anything?
Well, one of the things we've been talking about in terms of uncovering childhood trauma is that there's so much internalized shame that also starts to come out in the process. That with the memories you also have the feelings. And what we have to be careful about right now is to try to safeguard against you not turning around and imposing those feelings of shame onto who you are in the present. It gets confusing. These breakthroughs that you've been having are actually a tremendous sign that you've been integrating part of the past with the present. And all of our good work together, that you're holding it all at once. And I must tell you that I am so touched that you're able to look at where you are in your life right now with so much honesty. That in itself takes an enormous amount of strength. You couldn't have done that a year ago.
I know that. You're right. I'm staying with it in the present and not disappearing so much most of the time. I mean, as painful as it is, I know it's better for me to face it. But when John treated me that way, I got so confused and I just collapsed.
Yeah. Well, I know that this is confusing, but, let's not shift to the relationship just yet. Let's stay focused on you for a little bit more. First, I want to point out that you didn't collapse in the same way that you have been in the past. Before, you would have shut yourself off completely, felt isolated, maybe even missed a therapy session, but you called out to me and to your sister this time. It's really important.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't have done that a year ago.
Mm. So if we just both pause and take an overview of what's happened since you began to uncover your childhood abuse, let's reflect on all that you've built up on over the time we've been working together. It's important for us to look back and see the whole picture, the whole context from time to time. And I want to say that I don't think that these breakthroughs that you've been making lately, where you say, as you said, coming out of the fog and remembering as much as you have about your childhood abuse, that wouldn't have been possible, I don't think, unless we had taken the time earlier to focus on your strengths and your talents first. Remember when you started becoming really successful in your business a couple of years ago? No. It's my belief that you needed to accumulate those positive experiences and actually begin trusting in your creativity and your talent before you actually could have the energy to dip back into the trauma as deeply as we have.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And you know what's funny now that you mention it? As bad as I was feeling, I was able to go on and do 2 presentations in 2 days for 30 people.
Yeah. Wow.
I got some really good feedback, and I did a great job. There were some good comments afterwards, and I approached the meetings in a different way. This time I didn't worry if I had eyeliner on or if I felt fat. I just went in and I was myself.
Huh. So, your authenticity trumped your fear. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Yes, I am. You know what the funny part is? A year ago, 6 months ago, I would have wanted praise from people.
Mm.
I mean, it's not that I didn't want the praise, but I didn't need it like I've needed it before.
Mm. And I think what that tells us is that you've internalized a belief in yourself a whole lot more. That you're carrying that inside of you now. But more than that, you held that integration of your internalized self in the face of looking at some difficult and painful parts of reality, and in the face of what happened with John. You were able to hold that together, even though this was so difficult and painful for you.
Yeah, I guess I didn't see it that way. I'm going to need to hold them at the same time, aren't I? Otherwise I'm just going to end up repeating the same pattern.
That's true, but I think the pattern is already changing slowly. We just have to make sense out of all of the feelings that are starting to come up as this is unfolding.